Yes, I'm back in the studios with Ifueko Omoigui Okauru and the former Director General for Federal Inland Revenue Services, but we're talking to Dagomo here. And we broke off at the point, welcome back, I must say to everybody. We broke up at the point where you said the aim is to care for the elderly. But I also know that you also mentioned the fact about the circumstances of your mother's death, for example, the state of healthcare and lack of security. All those things were also concerns of yours.
Very much so. In fact, just to go back to when my mom was shot and having to go through...
Yeah, for the benefit of those I don't know, your mom was shot in the course of picking up...
Going to the bank and just doing her normal daily living activities, which we encourage all elderly people to do. And she was coming back from the bank and she was followed. And in the course of wanting to take the money, she was shot.
But I hear she challenged and said, what?
She talked about that in the hospital. I tell you, she's very bold. And it wasn't even so much challenging from a point of view of just wanting to challenge, but more from, again, her teaching point of view, that why are you doing this? This is not your money. I mean, she's earned this money. This is, why are you taking money that doesn't belong to you? So she was teaching all the time. And in fact, on the hospital bed, she was also telling us that, we should call the police. In fact, not even on the hospital bed, because she was bleeding. She was shot twice, and she was bleeding quite profusely. And right from when she was moved from the scene to the hospital, she kept on saying that we'll make sure we tell the police. They should come take a statement. They should go after the armed robbers or the robbers. Mm-hmm. And when she was in hospital and they caught the robbers, you could see, she couldn't talk at the time, but she could see the smile on her face that it had come full circle, that justice had been done. That was Mom. Mm-hmm. That was Mom.
So, so for you, the state of the care.
Yes. Now, before she died and in doing elder care services, the reason behind the focus on the elderly was that the society and individuals did not really have any infrastructure for them. And by infrastructure, we're talking about the health services. Now, let me talk generally. Health services, legal services, financial services, security services, transportation services, the works. That there was no focus on that group. Now, let me go to the issue of medical care. As you get older, you're finding that there are certain illnesses that you get as you age. Dementia is one, Alzheimer's is another, Parkinson's is another, arthritis is one that a lot of people complain about. And then you ask yourself, how many people understand these illnesses? How many doctors are there who are then focused on helping the elderly now? I'm not talking of the general practitioner, to go through the pains of the illnesses. And remember, for someone who's been very active, and having to deal with this as an issue. And beyond the elderly themselves are the caregivers, the family, who do not even understand what the elderly is going through. And so maybe they can't even hear anymore. And you keep on shouting and get frustrated. Unfortunately, actually, that does happen. So you don't understand that they really cannot hear. Because loss of hearing is another, even loss of sight is another. So how do you help the elderly recognize that there's a place you can go to that can help them navigate through the system? And there's also a place that can help in advocacy, so that you can now start to put in place those things that are missing. Because we do not, as Dagomo, hope to be the one and be all. We hope to be the catalyst for change. Okay. And so even though we have, for example, every week now there's a clinic day.
And this is in Benin for now.
It's in Benin for now, but it's actually a national foundation and hopefully even Africa, but let's stay focused on Nigeria for now. Every Thursday there's a free weekly clinic that we give to the elderly, and the elderly is defined as 60 and above. And every quarter, we started that last year, and Mom was very much an active part of that. We would provide medical missions. So we started off with dental mission, because again, that's another thing people do not understand. Taking care of your teeth as you get older, it's really an issue and could actually be a source of infection and disease. Mm-hmm. So we started off with dental missions, then we added the eye, we've done general, and we hope this year to add hearing, so that we take the full works of eye, dental, ear.
So caring for the elderly is the primary focus, helping them to live a more dignified life.
Aging with dignity and dying with dignity.
And dying with dignity. That's what's the focus.
Dignity is key.
Okay, where your mom was lucky, she had loved ones around her and you were able to take care of her. So this foundation will do all of that. But then doesn't it mean government is filling its responsibilities, which is why I must take my questions because there were some people that are asking questions around tax. I think the very first question I got was from, I can't remember. Can I have a first question on air? I got the first question, which is very simple. The very first question I got is this one from Elisha. She wants to understand the difference. Elisha is a guy, I want to believe. Can you explain the difference between withholding tax and value-added tax? And is there a reason why businesses charge both?
Now, let me talk to the audience because the truth of the matter is that there's a difference between withholding tax and value-added. And it's a question that I get all the time. And it's one of the least understood concepts in taxation. First of all, withholding tax is not your tax. I think it's very important to understand that withholding tax is not a tax per se. It is called withholding tax, and I think that gives a misnomer that it's a tax. Withholding tax is the aspect of the tax, the organization that is being charged is supposed to pay at the end of the year.
In other words, if I do business with you,
yes,
and you charge me withholding tax,
yes,
you take it out of the money.
I don't charge you.
Okay.
I withhold your tax. Okay?
Okay.
I withhold, so it's just called withholding tax. But if I do business with you and I'm supposed to, and you send me an
invoice for 100,000.
Give an invoice 100,000. Now I take 10% off. I withhold it to give the tax authority.
So now, do I still have to pay VAT if you've taken withholding tax from me?
Now hold on. Remember that you have two types of taxes for you as an organization. Well, more than two, but let's keep it simple at two. You have your company income tax and you have your value-added tax. Your company income tax is what is charged on your income. And
as a company?
As a company, at the end of the year, you compute your expenses, your income, your profit before taxation, then the tax is charged before you get your profit after tax. That tax that is charged, let's say it's 30%, which is what the law says, is what you should pay at the end of the year. Now, the way the tax authorities have designed the law, because a lot of companies are not part of the tax net, instead they now put the onus on those you do business with to please withhold, in some cases 5, in some cases 10, of any business that you do. And you are now to pull together, and I owe you to give you a withholding tax certificate that shows that you have paid tax.
So I think that's what the question is. When you do business and there's been a withholding tax on your receipt, make sure you get the receipt for that.
Make sure you get the withholding tax certificate, because what you use that for is at the end of the year, when you compute your normal company income tax, you are not supposed to pay any tax